We're back in Austria. Gonna just look at some patches here. Gawk and marvel at the sheer abundance of splendor, symbolism, well-constructed, gorgeous building. That's on the menu for today. This one's in Vienna. It is a church. And that is all that I know. This is a low information dive, okay? This is more about the repeating patterns and architectural themes and things that we find everywhere. All over this land of ours, wherever it is, whatever it is. This looks almost like it's got that sort of like octagonal Armenian thing going on. It looks like it'll be there forever. It is a very substantial and gorgeous building, and this is also a church, of course. I've noticed a lot of these, not just here, but often in South America as well, have this nice little shade of yellow. You don't see that very often, but it is bright, and it is eye-catching, I'll give you that. I can't say it's my favorite. The Moosburg Keep of Arnulf, and clearly this is an old ruin. There's no shortage of these out there. Oh god, I think my lymph nodes are swollen. Would you like me to play a rather depressing emo song about Max Gaffin? No thank you. This is a museum, I believe the Museum of Natural History, and wow, what a amazing entrance. My lord, look at this. What is going on here? Just so much effort and art and how dare you? There's another view of that very famous facade here in Vienna. Man, it's just incredible. And what are the clues that you are telling us? What are you trying to tell us here, you ancient peoples? I think I may know. Well, at least we think we got hunches. We got all sorts of hunches. Some very grainy pictures there of what are some pretty cool buildings. Man, look at this view. How incredible. This is Old Town Salzburg from across the river here. How incredible. Old Starfort up there on that hill. My lands, what a beautiful place. Some sort of a pavilion here, the Otto Wagner Pavilion. Even for something like this, you know, just the amount of detail, even though it can be a little gaudy, it's just lovely. And what are they trying to tell us with all these wreaths of eternity? They're like, look here, do what we're doing. I don't know what's going on with these things. Very odd, actually. Actually, this whole building has got a strange metal industrial sort of look to it. Very odd. A palace here, as you can see, looking rather submerged in the earth. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, you can't tell me that's normal. Windows half sunk. I know the stories about the basement. I just don't believe them. What is this? This is just so wild. So much of this everywhere. It's really incredible. It's quite commendable. And here we have another palace. Is it the same one? No, it's not. Look at that entrance. Just incredible. What a place. And just, I imagine the locals are just so used to it, but still, you probably wouldn't realize it until it was gone, how much you really missed it. And this is the kind of stuff that you see happening all over Europe in these old towns. It just drives me crazy. You see it in Lisbon, you see it in Prague especially. My god, the place is practically ruined. And you see these ugly storefronts, these touristy things that are just in these old buildings. People often that live there have to go through the stores to enter their homes. I mean, I know it's about making money or whatever, but how tragic is that? I mean, you got this stuff going on, and then there's just some tacky stores down here. Well, all this is just amazing. The old Phoenix everywhere. Just unbelievable. God, I am in awe. It is shock and awe. That's what this is. What's going on? This guy. A digital tree trunk, it looks like to me. This was probably much more ornamented in the past. A lot of these seem like they've been rather subdued over time. As we see, another palace here. Wow, that thing's a monster. Just huge. This is the Rothschild Palace in Vienna. You know, so find your tongue now, Rothschild. And that is a very interesting doorway. What is the deal with that? There's some sort of sick symbolism behind it, I feel like. These water spouts and these men holding up the doorways. There's just something weird about it. The artwork is incredible, but I can't help but get a feeling like there's some sort of mockery going on there. Like us regular folk just holding up the door for the elite imposters. Schwarzenberg Palace with a rather extensive underground, as you can see. And you could tell over time, this is probably excavated out. I guess you can't tell, but it would seem to me this building was missing some components. Perhaps a dome? That's how it looks to me. Look at this gilded wonder. Wow, what a scene. Is that Abraham Lincoln? What's he doing up there? Just statuary everywhere. Topless wood nymphs and all sorts of stuff. You know, it makes sense, I guess, with you, if you believe European history. What doesn't make sense is when this stuff's in America. And really, I feel like if I knew the history better of Europe, I would say it probably doesn't make sense them either. I don't know it enough to poke holes in it. It all seems preposterous to me and fabricated and like a mockery. I don't know who the hell has time to make all this stuff all them hundreds of years ago. Church of Maria here. It's a very peculiar garden shapes. And my lands, look at this thing. Where to even begin? Your little reaches of eternity here. Oops. These weird sort of angels or half human, half angels, maybe. A little bizarre. That dome. And this guy. God, how incredible. What a cool building. I'd be so proud if I had something to do with that. More ruins here off in the nearby forest. Here's an old castle here. This is what it looked like in 1995. No telling if it's on the upswing or not. If someone refurbished it or no. And here's an old Ramingstein Finstergrün. Looks like a star fort. If you ask me, got the same kind of material. Looks like a star fort that is perhaps built inside of. I mean, from here, it looks like this part is added on. I don't know. We see that everywhere though. So, and here's another one. It looks like pretty clearly separate eras of construction. Possibly, wow, look at this one's built right into the rock. Unless this rock was initially part of an old and even a more ancient one. And looks like tragedy might have befallen it. I mean, this looks a little uniform. And this looks a little uniform, like it could be like old lines, grout lines sort of thing. Hard to say. Then we just built on top, built on top. Little modern structure out here kind of makes it all look quite disjointed, now don't it? It's a shame that's not a better picture. Does that place look cool? So many statues. Austria's got to be just the king of the statues. More statues here than I ever seen in my life. Bless you. Bless all of you. I don't know what they say. Somehow they give their blessings out, I think. Rosenberg Schloss. Whoa. What a cool place. That little dumpy guy's doing over there. Looks like he's seen better days. Wow, this thing is awesome. I love this sort of like fish scale roof tile too. And their telltale little antennas here, which might be holding some secrets. Hell, I don't know. Hell, you don't know neither. There's another ruin of another absolutely incredible castle. What is going on here? You see, if this wasn't initially an old castle, I'm talking about not this part. That's clearly it. But this part. Then why would it be like this? It seems like this rocky outcropping up here seems like it's either an old tree trunk, like a giant. I could see that. Yeah, look at that. Could be an old giant tree trunk. At least it definitely looks like bark. That would make sense in some ways. And then this stone stuff was after this all petrified somehow. This all was added on later. Of course, people came along and built inside of it and around it. That would make sense. First, I was going to suggest that this is possibly an even older castle, but it looks more like bark to me. Petrified, ancient bark. I'm not saying that's what it is, but I will say it looks more like that than anything else. I mean, that doesn't look like an old tree would. And I don't think you've seen many trees, mister, because that's exactly what it looked like. Now, this one, another ruin, could be wood. I don't know. This one's much less conclusive. I conclude Salzburg Cathedral. Oh no, don't drop it. What a cool, just so much of this is mind-numbing. Mind-numbingly cool. All this stuff here, this fountain. Look at the horses. Look like they're coming up from the underworld or possibly stuck in quicksand. I like the first version better. Carlsberg something, an old ruin. Don't know what that was supposed to be. This is obviously a bank. Sad that like a building like this, which would normally be legendary, is dwarfed in this land. When you come across places like this, the little symmetrical fountain and gardens, yes, we've seen this all before. Time after time again. Just can't be coincidence. Look at these finest gardens here. Unbelievable the size of that building. My lord. Maintenance on that must just be almost out of this world. Schloss Bersenberg. Almost looks like an old tree trunk as well here. What's going on here? This one looks like it's been stripped of all any ornamentation except for the dome. How sad. Inside of a theater, clearly. The same opulence that you see in the theaters in America, the same symbolism, the same gold-gilded style, and even the same eagle in many of the theaters that you see. So, riddle me that. If this is part of the Austrian Empire, then explain those other ones. And these are always a wonder. You know, there's a few channels I watch online that literally it's just a live stream of trains just passing through the mountains. Sometimes it looks AI, but some of it is just stunning, and some of these tunnels through these mountains are just so incredibly long. You wonder how they ever pulled it off. This is a stylized portrait or picture from 1900, so an idea of how early they were doing that stuff. And just look at that building. My land, this is a different kind of church. That dome is massive. God, how in the world were these things constructed? And this thing just literally looks like an old power plant. If I saw this plug, I would assume that this was a generator of some sort. These little resonators or whatever. That's what it looks like. And this probably came off the top of one of them, but we're just gonna put it on the side of the road. Look at that old technology. Looks just like a cell phone tower. You know how they got these cell phone towers that look like old trees around here? Palm trees, wherever you're from. They've got these ones now out here now that look like swirl cactus, which is pretty ridiculous. But they should make them that look like this. Oh, that'd be too obvious, huh? That'd be too telling, wouldn't it? Maybe we could trick him into convincing them to... I don't know, I had something there. Another beautiful castle out here. Just castles galore. That's all there is, folks. Nothing but castle after palace after castle after palace after my land. Look at this sumbitch. Beautiful. That detail and all the statues and all the saints and oh man, such time and effort, and it's just from a time beyond our reach, beyond our grasp. You know, that little season, people talk about it a lot, almost sometimes like it's thrown around in a weird way, but it almost seems like a psyop, but it does make sense. The timeline, it does make the most sense as far as what sort of timeline we're in biblically, you know, assuming that stuff hasn't been tampered with too much. There's an anchor up here. It's sort of bizarre. All the sciences. Yeah, that looks just added in. Like, this looks much more ancient. It's like, oh, let's gotta put some modern stuff up there, like a laptop and a globe to make it look like it was modernized. I don't know. This is a university building, so who knows these clowns do at these universities. This is the inside of a museum. Incredible. God, what is going on here? Just look at this. Angels above every doorway, marble everywhere, people just sitting around having lunch. Breathtaking. It really is. This is also in Vienna. One of those little convenient little pedestrian bridges that looks so futuristic. And another victory arch or triumphant arch with the same old symbolism telling us, yoo-hoo, here's how you get out. Oh, really? How about that? Just like we see everywhere. And all that old ruin out here looking decidedly sunk into the ground and also pretty dilapidated. Pretty incredible that those are still around. This is also part of a university, that incredible dome. And the sunken in windows. So you see, folks, it's the same everywhere. We got the same universities here, way over here, where it makes no sense. Some obelisks up there. It makes no sense. And here's a photograph from back in the day with the same, well, actually, it looks much emptier, you know, now, compared to those old pictures. This is another star fort up here, perched high up on the hill. Plenty of those around here, plenty of those, and a seemingly absurdly tall steeple for this particular church. Local market, something Volkermarkt, Hamburg. I don't know. I butchered that one. We'll go ahead and cut that one out in post. This is a wonderful church at night. God, that's such an incredible intricacy. And what is the point of this? This like, it's just overwhelming. I can't get over the idea that this is not just technology. It is far too sharp and defined and industrial looking for it just to be a church. Makes no sense, bro. No sense at all. Walpersdorf, even the ones that are in disrepair, look absolutely stunning. Actually, this reminds me, really interesting that this is here, but I was in Mexico recently, and I went to a downtown area, and I ran into, I was trying to flip around, kind of lost, pulled into a building that was repurposed. There was some tacky store in the bottom, but the front of it had massive Corinthian-style columns, and they had cladding all over the front like this. It looked like an ancient, like, Mayan temple. But it had this exact, something very similar plastered all over the front of it. Like this, imagine this, but all over. And I thought it was striking. I never got a chance to go back and find it again and take a picture, but this is very, very similar. And now why would that be the case? One wonders, doesn't one? All the way down on the coast of Mexico. This is what we're told is a school gymnasium, as if there were, my God. Explain to the school board how that's in the budget, please. Go ahead. It's not. It never is. Look at this candy looking building. It's a church, but man, where do you even begin? I mean, what would be the point of designing this architecturally if it didn't serve some function? It's such a sprawling, strange, but gorgeous complex. These windows and I don't know. Wowie, whoa-y. Look at this bad boy. Could it possibly get more decorated? That brickwork is stunning. Then you got your symbolism and the dome. I mean, this one is beautiful. This is going on like a best of list. You got the old red and white motif here that we talk about. Possibly used to symbolize like a power station. It would make sense. This looks like it's straight out of Willy Wonka. Ah, yes. The worldwide sort of colonnade with the memorial laid out in this sort of half circle thing, this strange geometry. We see this everywhere, usually in war memorials. And that looks like exactly what this one is. Probably some World War II memorial. What a stunning building. I mean, you get fatigued from it so fast because it's just breathtaking. This is an absolutely gorgeous organ. My lands. Unbelievable. Another church here. Just hiding in the residential area. Nothing to see here. I mean, even their dams here have lions on the bastions here. It's absolutely incredible. God, every time I think that it's just hit peak amazement. Austria says, "Hold my bear." This looks like a more of a modern take on it, like leaves into a dome, but still, how beautiful. Almost looks like a mausoleum, but I don't know what that one is. And this is absolutely stunning. How tiny the people are compared to this. How in the world are you constructing this in like the 1500s? Unbelievable. Look at that roof. And you see him here doing the scaffolding stuff now, restoring it, restoring the old power station. Dude, tell me that doesn't look exactly like electric coils. Get out of here. Gotta be what it is. And is this when it's refurbished, or? Yes, it is. Or at least it's the other side of it. Look at that roof. Wow. Well done, sirs. Well done. Dubious foundation down here in this church. Looking like there's something else going on around here. Like this one's all sealed in here. How gorgeous. And it's sad, man, how quickly you get numb to it. Unbelievable. Here's the same one, just a little closer, different sort of view. Onward and inward, he says. Forward. Oh, God. Incredible background there. A little neutral stone one here. Keeping us down to earth. Looking a little stripped down, but yeah. Obviously, you can imagine that this is like water. This looks like it goes down at least another floor for symmetry's sake. And why would they make something why would you craft something, a building that's so excellent and looks so beautiful, and then make the foundation wonky? Like, why would you take the time to make everything so perfect and symmetrical, only to then make the building not symmetrical by having the doorway look out short or out of proportion, having this one window down here out of proportion? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't even make sense with the type of artist that they seem to be. And that's why I think the mud flood thing is legit. Oh, look at those guys. Wow. Each column has one. Wow. What an unnecessary, but I'm grateful for it, detail. Like, it's so unnecessary to do that. But the fact that they did is just, it speaks to a different time. It speaks to a different people. And I do appreciate it. I really do. It makes it all worthwhile sometimes, you know, art and beauty. And it's sad that these worlds, the creation worlds of music and art, such, are so closed off to the regular people. And not sure what this modern-looking space temple is, but it looks like it's carrying on the traditions quite well. There she is from an upper view. This is a part of the college, I believe. It would make sense, wouldn't it? I see, this is how it used to look, and then they've upgraded it. I approve. Probably brought it back to the way that it used to be, these restorations, you know? How they used to be, yeah? This is a library with a very regal man standing here in the floorway, demanding attention. Really a casino, or is that word means something else in the local tongue? God, what an incredible ceiling. Here's an ancient picture, and yeah, looks like things are what a beautiful place. Looks like it's not too far off. It's just people had a lot of time to congregate, I guess, in the center square, didn't they? Not too far off though. Wow, is that a statue? Like, I mean, I know it's a drawing, but, and probably a fantasy, but still very curious, sir. Very, very curious. Ah, the old park obelisk, eh? And the old topless golden angel. Can't say that if it gets old. No, it don't. Here's an old postcard from 1921, and not sure what rubble these guys are clearing up, but mighty suspicious, ain't it? Mighty suspicious that these obelisks are just all over the place, everywhere you go. This is that same entrance. The pieces broke off, or edited off, actually, maybe. As you saw before. Definitely looks like quite different. Not sure what the date on that one is. Not sure if it even had a date. What a bizarre building. Looks like a hand reaching up to touch another hand. Get you a little black and white checkered floor here. We know what's going on there. The same symbolism that we see everywhere. And as I was saying, it's a bit tragic, you know, in a way, about the art world. The fact that it really appears like the only ones with any real success or exposure are they're there for a reason. It's an agenda, and I feel like more and more artists get exposed every day as just having backstories tied to special agencies and secret agencies, and it's really a shame, because I've often thought that some of the most talented and incredible creative people that I know, type of people that would do stuff like this, were always overlooked. Never could, even the ones that really tried, never could seem to get their foot in the door in a major way, versus people that seem to have half the talent, blowing up and end up making comfortable life for themselves. And I always thought that was a bit odd. It makes sense to me now. Now I understand you don't get big or have millions of followers unless there's a push behind what you're doing. And if you aren't in the right families and you can't be controlled, they really have no use for you. You're not allowed to have that kind of audience. Not to take anything away from
some people whose work ethic is great and they end up achieving it despite the odds against them. And I'm not, and in any way am I thinking about anyone at all in particular, by the way. This isn't like taking shots at anything or any industry. I just mean, I'm talking about generally. All of the art that we have and the music and everything, it seems like it's filtered through only something that is pushing a message. They're tools, and they're not even our tools for expression. I hope one day we can sort of take them back. I mean, anyone can create on their own time, but it's exposure in the audience that you're not allowed to have, no matter how talented you are. And it seems like in this day and age, these pictures that we're looking at here, they weren't constrained by that. They didn't have that problem. The top of the best talent was clearly on display everywhere. When you crush these art forms and when you squeeze the true talent out of your industries, well, you get brutalism. You get what we have today. Well, hopefully we can one day take it back. And in a way, I guess, because talented people, like so many of you, have been squeezed out of the industries that you love, or you had time to look into other things and maybe time that you might not have normally had, and expose things in another way. So it's possible that they created their own opposition despite their best efforts. I don't know. It remains to be seen. But I'll see you, as ever, soon.